over helping family, friends, and churchmates has perpetuated poverty. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian, and I want you to get this. And I believe it is actually hitting home. I want you to get this. I'm a Christian. I believe. Blessed is the hand that giveth. I know that. I know that. Than the one that receives. I know that. But what has perpetuated poverty in our lives is the issue of over-helping family, friends, and churchmates. Now, I want you to get this right. I have nothing wrong with helping, but I have everything against over-helping. Quickly, I'll give myself as an example. I was born at a village, typical village. No electricity. I first saw electricity when I was 10 years old, down McKinney Road. From that side, I go to Matero Boys Secondary School. Matero Boys Secondary School is a very special school. Why? Because it has a very high cutoff point. So it is one of the few schools where you find the rich and the poor in one school, because the rich want their children to be there and the poor want their children to be there. So people meet there on merit. It's a mission school. So when I go to Matero Boys Secondary School, that is when I got to know how poor we were. Because you see in the village, and when a number of you are poor, you can't really tell how poor you are. Because the people you are interacting with, they call the other poor bosses. So you can't really tell. But when I got that side, I saw my classmates who would buy Coke and Fanta at break time, buy it at lunch, and the kind of money that they were spending, I realized that no, we were so poor. Then I resolved, well, as at Matero Boys, that I wanted to save my family from poverty. It was a resolve. So when I started Matero Boys, I started selling pamphlets. From pamphlets, when I got to the village, I started a kiosk. From a kiosk, I started trading in goats. Now not. When I started the kiosk at the village, I'm the second born in my family. My elder brother was very generous. Very, very generous. When he made money from the plowing pieceworks, he would buy relish for the whole family and would eat. And he was doing that. So we loved him and everybody loved him. So one time, my parents sat me down. Now remember, me, I was running a kiosk, but I was very careful on how, I spent money. So they sat me down, and I believe it was out of love. Then they said, you see, we have seen your brother. The works of your brother, we have seen. But you, Oneka, ndiwe wakaso. You are stingy. And they said, and in their exact words, they said, you see, we are worried. We don't know whether you take care of us when we are old. Why? Because your brother has shown that he can take care of us. But for you, we doubt. So they said that, and I believe they said it out of love. Okay. Having said that, fast forward. But for me, it was very clear that I wanted to save my family from what? From poverty. From the kiosk to gods. When I got done with my secondary education, I moved to begin importing things from Botswana, clothes and duvets. From Botswana, I began getting things from South Africa. And that was in my teenage years. When I was 20 years old, founded a company called Glad Tidings Software Limited, which has a product called Glad Tidings eSchool, which is the most used school management system in Zambia. And that was founded when I was 20 years old. At 22, I got my first truck. Then I was just 22. From that truck, I got this other one. Now I moved from those second-hand ones to new ones, and I started buying two. Now those are 30-ton trucks. Then I just turned 23 years old. And you see, people couldn't believe that a 23-year-old could actually own trucks. And I remember at one time at Kabangwe checkpoint, one of my drivers had trouble with the traffic cops. So then the traffic cop said he wanted to see the owner. When I got at Kabangwe checkpoint, I've never seen a traffic cop that annoyed. He shouted at the driver in my presence, saying, just upon seeing me, he shouted at him, saying, "Iwe nakuza ati itana bene bake, not mwana wa bene bake." Meaning, I told you to call the owner, not the son to the owner. They couldn't believe that. Now, here is something that I want you to pick out. Of course, from that, I then founded what is known as DLN Technologies. I don't know if you've noticed now that when you go to the bank, you'd get your ATM on instant issuance. Unlike what used to happen there, where you might have to wait for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and sometimes a month to get your ATM card. Most of the banks are using our machines. And of course, I've moved on to save on numerous boards and whatnot. But at this point, when I was running trucks, guess who I employed first? My elder brother as the driver for the first truck. Now that is when I started, saving my family better. Then I made a decision that I would take my siblings to school. All of them. Why? Because now I'm pulling them off, the realm of poverty. And it was up until 2017 when I bought my father the first car. And I told him to say, listen up, I'm buying you this car. It was a new car. Oh, of course, new by Zambian standards. I mean the Japanese ones. We call them new here. Yeah. So I got him that one, and I told him, you don't have to worry about fuel and servicing. I'll take care of that. Why? The business had grown, and now I can afford. Are you getting that? It was up until the recent past when I decided to build them a house. And I told them, I put an architecture engineer and them and said, choose the kind of house that you want. And they came up with a 5-bedroomed ensuite house at the village. Toilet and everything inside. It was so wide because they said they don't want an upstairs because they're getting old. It was so wide such that we could not use timber. We had to use terraces when roofing. Why? I can afford to do that for them now. Why? Because I was very careful not to overhelp when the business was just starting off. The challenge we have is you are just starting out and you get out there overhelping, affecting the little business. It denies you an opportunity to get bigger. As a result, your family and friends won't benefit at a later time. And now, for those that follow me even on social media, you know that last week I donated 30,000 for those that needed help. Some 2-3 weeks ago, I gave out 100,000 to those that needed a push in their business. The other week, when females lead, I gave out 50,000 for the school of the vulnerable. I am no longer just helping my family. Now I can help the nation. Why? Because the business has now grown. But I understand some of you think, no, but you see, they depend on me and my family. If I don't help them, then they'll die. I mean, I am the breadwinner. And you think so? You think you are the Messiah? Do you think you are the Messiah? If you think your family can't survive with you, try dying. No, just try it. Die with if they would. You die today, the next 2 days they are mourning. After burial, they are laughing. Life is back to normal, and you thought they can't survive. They will survive. And the funny thing is, the little money that you make, it is going to help. And the funny thing is, when money comes in, no, the child has swallowed the razor blade. No, the grandmother has swallowed the shovel. Like problems come in next after the other. So you gotta be very careful. So for those in business, be careful not to overhelp to affect your business. And for those who are employed, notice one thing. Your value is dependent on 2 things. Your qualification and your experience. Your output. But here's the thing. I know people who started with a diploma and they've not advanced themselves simply because they are overhelping. I just thought I should put that across. Is that helpful?
In 2021, we made history together. Over 10,000 people gathered at the National Hero Stadium in a show of solidarity against mediocrity. Over 10,000 ordinary Zambians, each with a unique story, decided that they had had enough. The foundation has been laid. The revolution has begun. Together, we can push the boundaries and break the idea of impossible. Let us make history once again and show the world what we have to offer. Together, we'll make this the largest gathering of entrepreneurs in the world. Secure your ticket for the Redefining Masterclass with the Radical Entrepreneur, slated for the 4th of July 2022 at the National Hero Stadium. We will have exhibitions from different entrepreneurs in the morning from 08 hours to 12:30 hours. And the main event taking place from 12:30 to 17:30 hours. You cannot afford to miss this. Get your ticket today from any ShopRite CompuTicket outlet nationwide or by calling +26097576573 36. Add 100 kwacha standard ticket, 300 kwacha gold ticket, and 2000 kwacha platinum ticket. This is not a motivational event. Its emphasis is way more practical in nature and content. You walk out not just with the tools, but conversations and decisions that will make you better.